Shea Pepler with the Sporting News exclusive 2012 college football preview. And in this edition, we're taking a look at the national picture. Some storylines include the landscape of college football changed dramatically with conference realignment. And for the first time since 1966, there is a new head coach at Penn State as Bill O'Brien takes over the program. And the SEC looking to make it 7 straight seasons with a national champion. Now we welcome in Sporting News college football writers Steve Greenberg and Matt Hayes. And guys, as the SEC tries to continue their domination, who would you say is the favorite to win the BCS championship this season?
I hate the feeling that you're looking at the field and saying, gosh, I don't see anybody from outside the obvious 3 powers that can get there. It does feel like that kind of year. But nobody would have picked Oklahoma State to get there last season. It almost happened. No one would have given Oklahoma State a chance to beat LSU.
I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't have. They would have said a physical mismatch, even though Oklahoma State had a first-round NFL pick at quarterback, the best wide receiver in the country. So let's talk about USC against LSU. Best quarterback in the country, Matt Barkley, maybe the 2 best, and I don't mean the best tandem of wide receivers, I mean numbers 1 and 2, pick your order,
right.
In the whole country. Now, how is that not a lot to deal with? That is a formula or a basis by which you can beat anybody, including LSU, especially if Zach Mettenberger isn't some revelatory success story. Jordan Jefferson was a big disappointment. Maybe Mettenberger won't be the next John Elway.
I'm going to tell you right now, you ready? You still got to be able to block. You still got to be able to block for Matt Barkley. You still got to be able to block for the running game with McNeil. You still got to be able to keep the defensive line, which is where the games are won in the SEC, which is where national championships are won. You got to keep them off Barkley. And you got guys like Sam Montgomery, and you got a guy like Barkevious Mingo coming off the edge. You're going to cause a lot of problems for people.
Somebody's going to beat one of these SEC teams
someday,
eventually.
Please,
it's going to be a program.
Right?
No SEC team in this run of 6 titles has beaten an opponent that would be as big time as USC would be at. It's 12-0 or 13-0 after a Pac-12 title game, or maybe they lose a game. But you look back at the wins over Texas after Colt McCoy got hurt. Alabama would have beaten Texas probably either way. You look back at the shocking one-sided result, Florida versus Ohio State. But USC has more talent, I think, than those teams did, especially at quarterback, at receiver, at the positions where guys score touchdowns. And by the way, they still have NFL players on both lines, especially on the offensive line. They have them in the secondary. They have them at linebacker. It's still USC. Pretty good again. Lane Kiffin's getting it done.
Well, guys, from the BCS title to the Heisman Trophy, who's your favorite to join the club that Robert Griffin III joined last season?
I just want to start with this, Matt. And I'll tell you, Shay, 10 out of the last 12 Heisman winners have been quarterbacks. That's maybe the most significant trend in the history of the award. 2 running backs in there, I think, have won it. But so it's going to be a quarterback, unless maybe Monty Ball sneaks up there, or DeAnthony Thomas from Oregon if he just goes touchdown crazy as kind of a hybrid running back wide receiver, or somebody like Tavon Austin if he just goes touchdown crazy for West Virginia. But I would expect very strongly that it'll be a quarterback. It should be Barkley. It could be somebody else if Geno Smith puts up Robert Griffin numbers, at West Virginia. If Denard Robinson throws the ball well, runs like he did in his first season starting, and leads Michigan to the Rose Bowl, could be Denard Robinson. But Barkley is the strongest preseason Heisman favorite
in a long time. I think you start with the foundation of it's Matt Barkley's to lose, okay? And I think you also have to look at, it's almost become a formula now, the Heisman Trophy. You play well in big games, you have good stats, and your team's unbeaten. And if you put all those 3 together, you got a very good chance of winning the trophy. I think Denard Robinson's got a terrific chance. If Michigan can stay unbeaten and he puts up the same numbers that he has the last couple of years, the numbers he's put up the last couple of years have been ridiculous. But they haven't been winning until last year when they started winning. They went to the Sugar Bowl and beat Virginia Tech. I think if they stay unbeaten, he's got a really good chance at it. We talked earlier, Eddie Lacy. I love Eddie Lacy. I think Eddie Lacy's a guy that could get in that race. I think another guy.
You could have another guy from that.
Another guy is a guy who actually outplayed Robert Griffin III last year in that bowl game, the Alamo Bowl. Keith Price. Keith Price, another guy to keep your eye on. Terrific season last year, kind of overlooked, got to the bowl game, played better than Robert Griffin III in that bowl game. And I think 7 touchdowns. I think he's a guy that could also be part of that mix in November.
Well, guys, lastly, as we head into the season, who's one team under the radar right now that you think could surprise a lot of people?
Shay, I keep going back to the ACC for some reason, thinking that that is a league where there's a lot of sameness among the ranks. Any one of them, like Clemson last season, maybe can jump up. Maybe it's Georgia Tech's turn. Maybe it's Paul Johnson's turn to actually get the payoff for having this crazy run offense that's really worked well there. They just haven't, taken that step over that last hump and gotten to the conference title game, or maybe they did once. But maybe it's Georgia Tech. I'll look at that team, or Virginia from that league too. I think that those are two teams that could get there in the ACC. Sure. Yeah, Virginia.
I'm gonna go back to mama, back to home where it's safe. I'm gonna say South Carolina, and I think it's South Carolina, which right now on the lines of scrimmage, they are as good as anybody in that league right now, and I think that's what's big right now. If they can get Connor Shaw to play well and to not turn the ball over, I really believe that South Carolina could be a dangerous team in that league.
Well, that's a lot more fun than what I was talking about. I mean, you're talking about the national title picture.
I am, absolutely.
All right, well, go Gamecocks. I love it.
All right, that'll do it for our Sporting News exclusive 2012 college football preview.